Voice, presented by RMU students for RMU students. Join us as RMU Live begins now. Could the swine flu have made its arrival here at RMU? The virus, which has caused the first new global pandemic in 40 years, is also causing concern among health officials as the fall flu season sets in.
In a letter released today by Dean of Students John Michaelenko, the university is stating that a commuter student has been diagnosed with a suspected case of the H1N1 virus. Thus far, this is the only suspected case of swine flu at RMU, but university officials are taking no chances. Students with flu-like symptoms are being urged to not attend classes and immediately contact the Office of Student Health Services. And if you live within 50 miles driving distance, the school is asking that you have someone take you home to recover. Here's a few tips to prevent yourself from being infected, like keeping your mouth covered when you cough and sneeze, and washing your hands often with soap and hot water. For the most up-to-date swine flu information, log on to www.flu.gov.
After months of planning and prep work, the week of the G20 summit has finally arrived, and Pittsburghers are getting ready to welcome the world to Western Pennsylvania. City and county officials met downtown today, saying they feel the area is prepared for the event set to begin Thursday. As downtown is going to be the center of the activity, RMU is getting ready to close the Pittsburgh Center after the conclusion of today's classes, and will take a few extra steps to ensure the safety of the facility. Summit, precautions will have to be taken at the downtown campus. John Rademacher, acting head of media arts, is well aware of this.
The school has taken measures to come down and replace any broken windows that might get broken out. There's plywood available to take care of those problems. As a department, we've cleared out the media arts gallery, took down our flat screen monitor out of the window, which would probably be an easy target. And those of us here in the media arts offices in the mezzanine have moved or taken home items of considerable personal value or value themselves, just in case someone would enter the building. And we've also taken the final measure of having the front of the media arts offices boarded up. And while this seems probably a little over the top, if people would gain entry into the building by breaking one of the glass windows or the glass doors, it would just be a matter of doors before they made it to our offices. And one can imagine all the books and papers and documents and files and stuff that we would not want to have to deal with the hassle of replacing. So, as many of you know, the campus is closed from tomorrow until Saturday, so hopefully when we arrive on Monday, we'll have the boards taken down and it'll be business as usual.
The Moon campus is scheduled to be open for business as usual during the 2 days of the summit. The RMU Alert email and text messaging service will keep students abreast of any changes.
An Afghani immigrant was apprehended in Colorado on Monday, and FBI officials say that terroristic acts were on his mind. According to officials, Najibullah Zazi was planning to detonate backpack bombs on New York City subway trains. The FBI says Zazi was part of a core group of individuals numbered between 9 and 12 other people. As a result of the emerging threat, officials have warned mass transit systems, hotels, and sports stadiums across the country to stay alert for potential terrorist attacks.
A big event this weekend at RMU, Homecoming Weekend. Activities kick off on Wednesday, sporting events are free admission, and the Homecoming Dance is Thursday at 9 p.m.
And homecoming also means football. Our Ed Albert is here with more on the game against Bryant.
Well, thanks, guys. You know, it is a big game. Lots of, atmosphere around with the homecoming coming up. And this Saturday, the football team still has work that needs to be done. The Colonials come into the game at 0-3 for the year, and it is only the second time they've been that way since their 17-year history. Now, what does this mean? It means that it's not just a big game because of homecoming, but also because it's the NEC Conference opener, and the Colonials will have to put the fact that they lost their only previous 3 games by a combined 11 points behind them. An interesting question coming into the game will be who's going to start under center, with many calling for freshman Jeff Sinclair to get the nod. Kickoff is this Saturday at noon at the Joe Walton Stadium.
Also kicking off next week is Colonial Theater's production Rent. The famous Pulitzer Prize-winning play from Jonathan Larson is directed by Ken Gargaro and runs September 30th through October 4th. Rent follows the year and the lives of 7 friends in the East Village of New York City and the trials and tribulations they face. Tickets are $10.
After the break, another meeting of world leaders taking place this week, making conversation on the subject of climate change.
Plus, the latest on the massive flooding that's ravaging the South.
On a path to sustained growth. These nations do not have the same resources to combat climate change as countries like the United States or China do. But they have the most immediate stake in a solution. For these are the nations that are already living with the unfolding effects of a warming planet. Famine, drought, disappearing coastal villages, and the conflicts that arise from scarce resources. Their future is no longer a choice between a growing economy and a cleaner planet because their survival depends on both. It will do little good to alleviate poverty if you can no longer harvest your crops or find drinkable water. And that is why we have a responsibility to provide the financial and technical assistance needed to help these nations adapt to the impacts of climate change and pursue local. Many nations have already taken the first step on the journey towards that goal. But the journey is long, and the journey is hard, and we don't have much time left to make that journey. It's a journey that will require each of us to persevere through setbacks and fight for every inch of progress, even when it comes in fits and starts. So let us begin. For if we are flexible and pragmatic, if we can resolve to work tirelessly in common effort, then we will achieve our common purpose, a world that is safer, cleaner, and healthier than the one we found, and a future that is worthy of our children. Thank you very much.
Mr. Obama says those countries with the largest carbon footprints must work together and commit to strong measures to shrink their impact on climate change.
Hundreds of police officers and federal law enforcement agents launched a major assault on the Avenues gang Tuesday morning. The group is believed to be responsible for some of the most notorious street crimes in Los Angeles. In the early morning darkness, police descended on dozens of homes, looking for 53 alleged members of associates of the violent gang. More than 40 suspects were taken into custody. They face a variety of charges related to several crimes, including murder and drug dealing. Rapper Richard Alden Samuel McCroskey III is in jail accused of killing 4 people. He posted rhymes about killing, but then allegedly carried out the deed. The bodies were found this past weekend in the town of Farmville. Police say McCroskey had bludgeoned the victims. The Virginia police identified the victims but were unaware of McCroskey's motive.
Actor John Travolta is in the Bahamas today for the beginning of the extortion trial involving the death of his 16-year-old son, Jet. Jet died after suffering a seizure while the family was on vacation in January. According to the Associated Press, prosecutors say that a paramedic who treated Jet shortly before he died threatened to release private information unless the movie star paid $25 million. Travolta is expected to take the stand during the trial.
5 more fatalities have occurred because of the Atlanta flooding, resulting in a death toll of 7. Included in this toll was a 2-year-old washed away from his father. Many establishments and communities are underwater, and schools in the area are to remain closed. The Six Flags is also closed due to the extremely high water levels. The entire state of Georgia is under a flash flood warning, and Governor Sonny Perdue has declared a state of emergency. So, Chris, did you know that today was the first day of fall?
I did not know that, but let's see if the weather in the upcoming days reflect that. And I know there's one man who can tell us that. That is Channing Frampton. Channing, take it away.
Well, Chris and Casey, it is the first day of fall here at Robert Morris, and you know what? Temperatures and the conditions for the atmosphere are actually right in line where they should be for this time of the year. As you can see, our weather map over here looks pretty decent out west, where back east we've got several low pressure systems that are beginning to work through our area. But let's take a look at the current conditions to get the temperature and other aspects of the weather. Our temperature is holding at 75 degrees right now with a dew point of 63 degrees. The humidity is back up as opposed to last week when it was pretty dry out. Humidity 66% and pressure is at 29.95 inches with those several low pressure systems that are beginning to move toward the area. The pressure is going to stay on the lower end of the scale. Winds are at the southwest at 4 miles per hour, which is bringing some of the warm and muggy air into this area for this time of the year. Temperatures around the local area, 72 in Butler, 73 in Katanning, and we have 74 in Burgettstown, 73 in Washington, as well as Beaver Falls, 74 degrees, around 75 degrees here in the Pittsburgh area. Let's zoom it out and take a look at the regional perspective, and you can see that in Detroit, Cleveland, and Erie, up around the lakes, we're keeping the temperature right around 73 degrees. Fort Wayne, 76, and the same for Lexington, Kentucky. And just south of the border in Morgantown, we have 74 degrees for our temperature here currently. And if we take a look at what's going to be coming up for the rest of the week, you can see out in the west we've got this high pressure system that's dominating the area out here. It's giving them lots of dry weather. And as we said before, we've got this low pressure system over Missouri. It's going to be moving up through the Ohio Valley. It's going to bring us rain showers throughout the rest of this week. But as the high begins to move east, we're going to see the temperatures begin to stay right where they are, but the pressure will be on the increase. So we're going to have clear skies and some sunshine to end out the week for later on this week. Our forecast for tonight, 60 degrees, a low with some partly cloudy skies, maybe a chance of a rain shower here or there. But for our almanac today, it looks like temperatures reached up around 78 degrees, pretty warm for this time of year. As you can see, our normal is 72. Our low was 59 degrees early this morning with our normal 52 degrees. Our records are 94 and 37, pretty extreme temperatures right there. Now let's take a look at what's going to be coming up for tomorrow, a high of 77 degrees and sunny skies with that high pressure system that's moving through the area. It's going to give us some pretty nice weather to get out and start to enjoy those fall leaves. And our temperature, let's take a look at the Frampton 5-day forecast. Temperatures are going to be running right about the upper 70s with a chance of rain showers here and there, but sunshine should be prevalent throughout the afternoon. Your homecoming football game forecast for Saturday, 72 degrees with a low of 55. And a lot of people have been suffering from allergies this year, and there are a couple reasons to do with that, and actually the weather has a lot to do with it. So let's take a look at what some local area nurses and students have to say about the allergy season this time of the year.
It's that time of the year again. Seasonal allergies caused by the drying leaves and ragweed are on the rise, and many people in the Pittsburgh area are feeling the punch more so this year than last. Marlene McCoy of the Heritage Valley Hospital in Sewickley explains.
The last several years have been bad, and there's a reason for that. It's our weather pattern. In order to kill off any pollen, you need a weather that freezes and stays cold for a certain amount of time, and that's not happening in the Pittsburgh area.
Observations over the past 30 days show that allergens found in the air have been at elevated levels. This has many RMU students, like Ashley Reichel, hoping for a change in the weather.
Well, since whatever changed the weather, my nose has got really stuffy, I have a sore throat, I can't really breathe right, and it's affecting me because I'm supposed to be singing.
With such drastic effects, what can people do to gain relief from the sneezing and congestion?
There's only two things you can do. That's antihistamines, such as over-the-counter things like Claritin, or there's prescription, nasal sprays, and low-dose steroids. Naturally, you have to go to a doctor for that.
With the average first frost for Pittsburgh occurring between September 30th and October 30th, many of us may need to keep the tissues handy for a few more weeks.
Thank you, Channing. Now, our own Ed Albert spoke earlier about the homecoming game. Ed, what else do you have for us?
Well, thanks, Chris. Coming up in sports, another prestigious event is coming to the city of Pittsburgh. The Penguins continue the preseason campaign. The Steelers prepare for their first divisional game, and an RMU student sets a record. All this after the break, so stay tuned. The city of Pittsburgh continues to promote its image and will once again be on display in the spring of 2012 when the NCAA men's basketball tournament visits the new Consol Energy Center. Duquesne University is hosting the event on March 15th and 17th, which will feature first and second round games. Duquesne previously hosted the tournament in 1997 and 2002 at the Mellon Arena. And speaking of the Consol Energy Center and Mellon Arena, the Stanley Cup champion Penguins continued their preseason escapades last night against the Montreal Canadiens, falling 4-3. Both Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin were in the lineup together for the first time this preseason, and it is that exact reason why the two of them and goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury will not be in the lineup tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Penguins sporting the typical third line of Jordan Staal, Matt Cook, and Tyler Kennedy. Pens and Leafs take to the ice at 7 o'clock, and you can catch it on the NHL Network or on PittsburghPenguins.com. And turning now to the NFL, the Steelers are looking to put Sunday's loss against the Chicago Bears behind them. Jeff Reed will especially watch because of his two usual field goal misses. One way to forget about the loss is preparing for AFC North rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers have not lost a game in Cincinnati since the arrival of Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben is 5-0 with a passer rating of 104.5. The Steelers and Bengals take to Paul Brown Stadium this Sunday at 4:15 on CBS.